Hello everybody, good day. So today I'm going to talk about cooperative learning, particularly the reflective teaching model. Reflective thinking is one of the skills to be developed in the 21st century learning. As future educators, we need to promote the creation of an analytical group of learners with greater ruminative skills and a higher level of reflective practice. So, this is where reflective teaching model by Dr. Ronaldo Eneshan of Cebu Normal University comes in. Reflective teaching model or RTM has 5 steps, namely introspection, insight, inquiry, integration, and intuition. These aforementioned steps are also what they called the 5 I's. And before delving deeper into the model, I'm gonna show you first the most essential learning competency I chose for today's topic, which we will use the reflective teaching model too. Okay, so I chose the grade 10 second quarter week 10 competency, wherein the students can express thoughts and opinions on the effect of globalization, or naipahayag ang saloobin tungkol sa epekto ng globalisasyon. And let's get right onto the learning objectives. In the cognitive aspect, explain and understand the challenges and opportunities behind the effect of globalization. Ineffective, manifest a deep appreciation on the history as to how globalization came about and how it is now. Psychomotor, perform a turncoat debate on the pros and cons of globalization. Okay, now that the objectives are now presented, let us now go to let us now go in depth about the reflective teaching model on our topic, which is about the expressing of thoughts and opinions about globalization. Okay, so in the first step of the RTM is introspection. Introspection is the process of self-reflection in social and environmental phenomena. The guide questions for the first step would be, what is the first thing that comes to mind when people talk about globalization? Okay, so in this part, the teacher will have a brief recalling of the past lessons regarding globalization, and the teacher will show the students some clips presented via PowerPoint presentation about globalization which contains outcomes and drawbacks of it. For instance, the teacher will present the students some of the famous allegiances among countries wherein they help one another, like those in the United Nations and the Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN. On the other hand, the teacher will also show the students some clips or articles about exploited workers, mainly from least economically developed countries, and the oppression of weaker and poorer economies from the much stronger and robust ones. So basically, the rich are getting more richer, while the poor getting poorer. The second step is insight. It is an element of surprise or shock based on the phenomenon posted in the introspection. The guide question for these steps are, what are the students' insight about globalization? Did globalization help you in any way? Expound your answer. After the presentation of the clips, the teacher would ask mind-boggling questions wherein the students can't help but think. Take, for example, the teacher will act as if the students were in the shoes of these workers who are being exploited in transnational corporations or just brands from economically developed countries in general. The teacher will ask the student for things they'll do, like if they'll just let it slide or fight for what's right, like what Forever 21 workers did, wherein they filed a case against the company. So, what would you do? Will you do the former or the latter? The third step would be inquiry. This is the part where the students pick a stand whether they are pro-globalization or anti-globalization. The guide question for this step would be, what is your stand on globalization? Are you pro or anti-globalization? Since we are now in the new normal mode of learning wherein everything is online, the teacher will let the students use the raise hand function in Google Meet if they are for pro-globalization. The teacher will then take note of those students who raised their hands and those who didn't. They will defend the side they pick on or their stance. They definitely need to look for authentic and factual source of information to back their claim up. Afterwards, the teacher will pick 2 students from each side to present their argument. After defending their stance, the teacher will then announce that a turncoat debate will happen in the next meeting and that the students should prepare because the teacher will call them at random. Okay, so just for your information, turncoat is a form of debate where the speaker literally debates against oneself. The speaker starts by taking a stance on the topic and switches side after a specific duration of time. So this would really be a challenge for the students, and this is the thing that I'm most looking forward to in this class. The next step would be integration. The guide question under this step would be, what are the global benefits and challenges of globalization? Okay, so this is where a lot of issues and drawbacks of globalizations come in. Globalization both possess a positive and negative externality. Yes, it can help in bringing people together and their ideas, cultures, and etc. But it is also the number one contributor of pollution and unequal economic growth. So, like what I've said earlier, this is where a lot of other issues come in, like in the law. Workers and employees have their basic rights wherein they have to be compensated and paid for all the hours that they've worked in. In addition to that, globalization is also somewhat related to economics. Globalization ties down a lot of countries together. And if one country goes down, it takes a whole lot of other countries with it. And the fifth and final step of the reflective thinking model is intuition. This is the part where students express their thoughts about what might happen to globalization in the long run. The guide question in this section would be, is globalization a stepping stone for world peace or just a war waiting to happen? I will let the students ponder upon the given situation. And in the assessment part 1, I will let the students write an essay not more than 450 words on the boon and bane of globalization and pick a side if they are pro or anti-globalization. And in the part 2, I will show them the rubric of the turncoat debate so that they'll be guided. Alright, so this is the rubric. And lastly, I will give the students an assignment wherein they will post their learnings and insights about the challenges and opportunities of globalization in the social media of their choice so that in turn, a lot of people can see it and there has been a ripple effect of knowledge. And that concludes the video. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good day.